When the billionaire mocked her, she translated the shocking truth. You won't believe this. In the heart of Manhattan, where fortunes were made in the blink of an eye, something utterly bizarre was about to unfold. The only way to describe the buzz swirling around the posh rooftop party was electric. Lights twinkled like stars, but it wasn't the glittering skyline that held everyone's attention. It was the figure of Christopher Graves, the billionaire known for his ruthless condescension. Standing tall, with a smug grin plastered across his chiseled face, he was making a spectacle of himself, belittling those around him. His laugh echoed like thunder, drowning out the soft murmurs of the crowd. But right in his line of fire stood Mia, a sharp-witted translator who had come to rub elbows, but was not prepared for the storm that was about to break. With dark hair cascading over her shoulders and eyes that sparkled with unyielding determination, she felt the stares of the elite bore into her back. Christopher, with all his arrogance, had turned his attention to her. What do you think you can translate? This party? Your insignificance? His words cut through the air, sharp and cold. Laughter erupted from around him, but Mia stood frozen, her heart pounding in her chest. His mocking tone dared her to prove him wrong. Mia's mind raced. Was this the moment that would define her? She took a deep breath, feeling a rush of adrenaline course through her veins. What if she revealed a truth so profound that it would turn the laughter into gasps? Around her, the crowd shifted, recognizing that something unusual was about to happen. There was a shiver of anticipation in the air as she managed to find her voice, tinged with defiance. Then, as if a light bulb had switched on, an uncanny sense of clarity washed over her. You think words are just words, Christopher? What if I told you that translations can unearth secrets, unravel stories, and even expose hidden truths that could change everything? She paused, scanning the faces in the crowd as they leaned in closer, echoes of disbelief rippling through tight-knit circles. By now, everyone was glued to the spectacle unfolding before them. Mia glanced at Christopher, who had a flicker of curiosity in his confident eyes. Please enlighten us, he said with mock sincerity, but Mia could sense the looming danger. This was more than a simple misunderstanding. This was about revealing skeletons that might rattle even the billionaire himself. Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon, and while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. But the air had turned thick with tension. Mia could feel the weight of their gazes pressing against her. She continued, barely able to contain her excitement. Translations are powerful. They can reveal desires, fears, and even hidden motivations. What if I could translate your unspoken thoughts right now? The room went silent. Breathless, the crowd watched the standoff unfold. In that fleeting moment, she noticed a crack in Christopher's mask. Was it fear? Was it intrigue? Desperation clawed at her throat. If she didn't take this chance now, she'd have nothing but the memories of a lost opportunity. A bead of sweat trickled down her spine as she prepared to dive deeper. Mia's heart raced like a drum in her chest. Maybe everyone here is looking for more than just a party. Do you really want to hear what you've kept buried all these years? The tension snapped like a rubber band, stretching into silence. Mia's next words could alter the course of everyone's lives, her own included. But what was happening inside that heartless facade? The danger hung palpably in the air. The crowd was mesmerized, hanging on her every word. What truth would she uncover? In that moment, the room felt both exhilarated and terrified. As Mia took her next breath, the world seemed on the verge of revelation. Would Christopher falter, or would he unleash chaos? And what would the truth mean for all of them? Mia could feel the weight of silence pressing down, each heartbeat sounding like a drum echoing in her ears. She took a step forward, emboldened by the thrill of danger that filled the air. What if I told you that your success comes not from your intelligence but from a secret you've kept locked away? Gasps rippled through the crowd, their faces contorting in a blend of shock and intrigue. Christopher's smirk faltered, just for a moment, and Mia seized that instant. You're not the savvy businessman everyone thinks you are. Behind that charm lies a web of lies and betrayals just waiting to be unveiled. Shocked murmurs fluttered through the attendees, eyes darting between Mia and Christopher as if waiting for the other to strike. Isn't that right, Christopher? She pressed on, her voice low and intense. Your millions haven't come without a cost. Let us not pretend anymore. For a moment, Christopher was still, his expression a mix of disbelief and calculating fury. You don't know anything about me, he retorted, but his voice lacked the confidence it had just moments ago. Mia glanced at the crowd, her heart pounding. I know enough, she shot back, emboldened by their curiosity. You think money can cover up your past, but words will always find a way to expose the truth. You've stepped on too many toes, silenced too many voices. She felt the stares of the elite sharpen, as if they were under a magnifying glass. Even those who had mocked her earlier now seemed captivated, their opinions shifting as they pondered her words. Shall I reveal how your empire was built on the very people you thought you could outmaneuver? She challenged, her heart racing faster. That little spark of hesitation from Christopher had ignited something inside her. She didn't just want to translate words. She wanted to start a revolution. The billionaire's facade began to crack. Was that sweat glistening on his forehead? The crowd shifted uncomfortably, whispers of scandal rising like an impending storm. Enough! Christopher boomed, slapping his hand on the table, the glass rattling ominously. The laughter and playful chatter fell silent, replaced by a palpable dread. You think you can just waltz in here and waltz? Mia interrupted, her confidence blossoming like a fire. I've fought for my space in a world where people like you push others down. You don't have to worry, though. I could translate that fear of being exposed far too easily. His anger darkened his features, but beneath it, there was a flicker of concern. It dawned on her then. The man might have everything, but the one thing he lacked was the comfort of security. How many people had he turned against to maintain his ruthless grip? Did he ever think he could be vulnerable? You live by the lies you've spun, Christopher, Mia said softly, leaning in as she searched his eyes for the truth. And you fear that they will unravel here tonight. A sudden noise shattered the mounting tension, a glass shattering against the tile. Every head turned toward the source of the commotion, eyes wide with shock. Mia's heart raced again as she looked back at Christopher, whose face had drained of color. Then came the whisper from behind her, a voice threading through the silence, like a ghost rising from the shadows. Maybe the truth is more complicated than you think. Mia spun around, her pulse hammering against her ribs. Who was daring enough to interrupt now? The crowd was no longer just leaning in. They were teetering on the edge of revelation. The tension hung thick. Would this mystery figure help her expose Christopher's chilling secrets, or add another layer of complexity to an already explosive situation? What other truths would seep out of the cracks? As the crowd held its collective breath, all eyes locked on the newcomer. A storm was brewing, not just for Christopher, but for Mia too. What was about to be unleashed could change everything. What would the truth reveal next? Mia's heartbeat thundered in her ears as she turned to face the voice behind her. The air shimmered with apprehension, each moment stretching out like an eternity. The crowd, drawn in by the unexpected interruption, was now hanging on every word they might hear. A figure stepped forward from the shadows, a stranger but with an aura of familiarity. Dressed in dark, tailored clothing, they exuded an air of confidence that contrasted sharply with the mounting tension in the room. The soft glint of something metallic peeked from their jacket, a badge. Maybe? Who are you? Christopher's voice cut through the whispers, sharp with irritation. Instead of responding immediately, the figure allowed the silence to thicken, soaking in the apprehension of the elite audience. Mia felt the weight of uncertainty, mingled with an odd sense of hope. This was no random distraction. This was a strategic move that might just be the key to flipping the game in her favor. I can help with your little inquiry. Mia, the stranger, finally spoke, their tone low and even. Christopher's empire is indeed built on secrets. Secrets buried so deep they could drown anyone foolish enough to venture too close. Murmurs of confusion and disbelief rippled through the crowd, the excitement palpable. How do you know her name? Christopher's voice trembled slightly, his bravado faltering. Because I've been watching you for a long time, Christopher, the stranger shot back, their gaze steady. And I know exactly what lies beneath that polished veneer. Mia felt a rush of adrenaline. This could be her moment. Can you reveal his secrets? She pressed, stepping closer, fueled by a mix of fear and fierce determination. More than just reveal, the stranger replied, a glint of mischief flashing in their eyes. I can expose the architecture of his success. You see, it's not just about dishonest transactions but something far more tragic. The tension in the room grew, an electric current igniting the air as gasps of curiosity circulated among the guests. You're bluffing, Christopher spat, but Mia could see the cracks widening in his carefully constructed fortress. Bluffing? The stranger laughed softly, shaking their head in disbelief. Let us not act like this is a game. Your so-called empire stands on the backs of shattered dreams and broken lives. I could tell them all about stop, shouted Christopher, but it was too late. The crowd's interest had been piqued, and they thrived in the chaos. Christopher doesn't want anyone to know how he manipulated market forces, ruined small businesses, and tossed people aside like yesterday's news, the figure added, their voice building to a crescendo. Hushed whispers surged through the audience, eyes darting anxiously between Mia and Christopher, each drawn into the murky waters of moral dilemmas and ethical revelations. Christopher's anger morphed into desperation. You're nothing but a nobody. You think you can silence? Mia shouted, her voice a beacon of courage. Both of you. The truth is larger than either of you want to admit. What you've crossed is not just business, it's lives. The stranger's gaze locked with hers, as if sharing an unspoken understanding. They seemed on the verge of plunging deeper into this revelation. What if we drew back the curtain together? The stranger continued, looking pointedly at Mia. What if we turned the tide and showed everyone the monster behind the mask? Questions raced through Mia's mind. Could she truly expose him? The crowd, like a living organism, pulsed with anticipation not for Christopher's defense, but for the truth that hinted at lurking beneath the surface. What's stopping us? She asked, emboldened. Fear, whispered the stranger, stepping even closer. Fear of retribution, fear of being crushed under the weight of powerful adversaries. But often, the strongest truths come from places of fear and anger. Mia felt the gravity of the moment. The stakes had never been higher. Was she ready to plunge into the depths of Christopher's secrets, to fight an unseen battle with shadows lining the walls? With every inch of her being, she nodded, unaware of the storm she was inviting. But just as resolve began to form, another shattering sound echoed through the air. Shouts and chaos erupted from the back of the room. Panic exploded, spreading like wildfire, as the crowd morphed into a frenzy. What's happening? Mia gasped, her heart racing anew. The figure on the edge of the room yelled, "Get out! They're coming!" The tone shifted, the promise of revelation now overshadowed by a looming danger that threatened to bury them all. What had Mia just begun to unravel, and at what cost? The veil of secrecy was slowly being lifted, but now, the fire of chaos consumed the room. Would she survive to uncover the truth? Or would this night end with devastation? Mia's heart raced as the panic spread through the crowd, each frantic face amplifying her own fear. Shouts echoed, drowning out the whispers that had just moments ago ignited her courage. The room felt different now, charged with an electric tension that had nothing to do with the ongoing confrontation. "Get down!" Someone screamed near the back, and Mia's instincts kicked in. She dropped to the floor as a wave of bodies surged around her, like a frantic tide trying to escape an unseen predator. "Stay close," the stranger shouted, scanning the room, their expression now serious. This was not just theatrical drama. It was turning real, dark, and unpredictable. Mia glanced toward Christopher, his face twisted in a mix of confusion and rage. But now his eyes darted toward the exits, betraying the facade of control he had so desperately clung to moments ago. "Do something," he barked at the figure, panic creeping into his voice. "I'm just as powerless as you are now," the stranger replied, their voice unwavering despite the chaos. "But this is your world, Christopher. You built it on fear, remember? It's finally come back to haunt you." A loud crash rang out as a glass chandelier shattered above them, sending shards raining down like deadly confetti. Mia felt a sharp pang of fear at the sight. "This can't be happening. Get out," she urged, grabbing the stranger's arm with a fierce grip. "You know something, we need to leave now." But the figure shook their head slowly, focusing on Christopher. "You wanted to play a game of power, Christopher. Now the stakes have elevated beyond anything you imagined." Suddenly, the doors at the far end of the ballroom burst open, cracking against the walls with a thunderous bang. Dark-clad figures poured in a tactical team, their shirts marked with insignia Mia couldn't quite make out through the blur of adrenaline. Her breath caught in her throat. "Get out of the way," one shouted, voice booming as they directed people toward the exits. Mia's instincts pushed her to move, but her eyes locked on the stranger. They had promised to expose Christopher's secrets. Was she abandoning that chance? "We can't just leave," she shouted above the din, but the figure turned to her, urgency flaring in their eyes. "We can't stop them now. Not when they're here to clean up the mess your so-called friend has created." Mia's heart sank. This was bigger than she had thought. She leaned in close, desperate to be heard. "What about the truth? What about later?" they barked back, grabbing her wrist. "You want your truth? It's all happening right now, and you'll need to survive first." Without another word, they dragged Mia toward the nearest exit, where a few terrified guests stumbled out into the night. Gunfire exploded in the distance, a sharp reminder of the stakes at play. The crowd surged, and Mia felt herself drawn into the chaotic current. All thoughts of Christopher's secrets danced in the whirlwind of her fear. Would there be a story left to tell after this? Just as they reached the door, the figure turned back to glance at the scene unfolding behind them. The tension in the air felt like a tight rope, a moment of horror as Christopher's eyes met hers through the throng. An unspoken promise flickered in the space between them, laden with the weight of betrayal and unyielding secrets. "Go," the stranger commanded, tugging Mia to safety just as the lights flickered ominously above them. Mia stumbled out into the rain-soaked street, the adrenaline almost overpowering. Behind her, the chaos raged on. She could feel the impact of something monumental about to break. A slumbering truth set to rise from the ashes of this night. "What now?" she gasped, catching her breath. The figure studied her with piercing eyes. "Now we wait for the storm to settle. Only then can we unveil what lies beneath." But in this moment of urgency, a chilling sound echoed nearby, a siren, growing louder, suffocating the air with a mix of dread and possibility. Could this really be the end, or merely a prelude to something even darker? Mia's mind raced with doubt and anticipation. She had crossed a line she might never return from. But the question loomed larger. Would she become a pawn in this game of shadows, or could she emerge as a player in the dark revelation festering within Christopher's empire? Rain pelted down, and the world around Mia blurred into a chaotic swirl of flashing lights and distant shouts. The streets seemed foreign, distorted by the adrenaline coursing through her veins. She stumbled forward, the stranger's grip firm yet unyielding, directing her through the chaos into an alley shrouded in darkness. "Keep low," the figure urged, voice laced with urgency. They ducked behind a dumpster, breath coming fast, eyes darting to the entrance of the alley. Mia's heart raced, her mind racing faster. The night felt alive with the thunderous crack of gunfire echoing through the air, punctuated by the sounds of muffled screams. "What's happening?" she gasped, pressing against the cold metal, seeking refuge. "Christopher has enemies," the stranger spoke, glancing around. "Those tactical teams, this is bigger than just a fancy party gone wrong." "What do you mean?" Panic clawed at her throat, constricting her words. "Mia. He wasn't just playing with power. He was courting it like a lover. And now, the stakes are high. The figure's voice dropped lower, setting her spine on edge. He's built a wall of lies so thick that he doesn't even see the danger creeping in. Mia's breath hitched. She thought back to the whispers earlier, the promises, the threats that hung like shadows around Christopher. So it's true, he really is behind something horrific. Worse, the stranger said, intensity radiating from every syllable. The truth you're after is hidden under layers of manipulation and betrayal, and it's about to break free. Just then, a loud crash erupted nearby, a sound that resonated deep in her bones. The alley entrance flashed bright, illuminated by the approaching headlights of several vehicles. "They're here," Mia muttered, looking up with wide eyes. "Stay down," the stranger urged, crouching even lower. Mia mirrored their movement, heart in her mouth, as silhouettes rushed past the alley entrance. She could see the tactical officers, their serious faces set with determination, a stark contrast to the celebration they had been a part of mere moments ago. What do we do? Mia felt the pressure of panic threaten to drown her. Wait for it. And listen. Everything Christopher has built is about to unravel, and we need to be ready to observe, the stranger implored, leaning closer to Mia, the warmth of their body grounding her amidst her rising horror. Moments stretched on, each tick of time amplifying her fear. She noticed the glow of a reflection against the rain-soaked pavement. An unmarked black SUV pulled slowly into the alley, coming to a stop. Dark figures flooded out, cloaked in shadow. She could see the sharp gleam of weapons, real weapons, and her heart raced as everything suddenly felt dangerously real. "Mia!" The figure beside her whispered sharply, pulling her back against the dumpster as the unknown figures moved in closer. Fear coiled within her stomach, tight and unyielding, as her thoughts raced. The tactical team was here to confront Christopher's darkness. But was it really just him? Or was there something deeper at play? "Mia!" The stranger repeated her name, breaking her from the spiral of thoughts. "We can't stay here. This will be our only chance to get the truth out if we can find a way to document what happens." Document? The word barely broke through her shock. "What if we get caught? Then we face the truth together," they replied firmly, squeezing her shoulder. "It's the only way." At that moment, one of the figures from the SUV lifted his hand, signaling for silence. Mia's breath hitched again as the tension coiled tighter in her gut. It was happening. A confrontation was looming, a clash between shadows and light. As they prepared to move deeper into the shadows, a voice suddenly boomed from behind them, slicing through the rain with chilling clarity. "Show yourself, Christopher. We know what you're hiding." Mia looked to the stranger, fear and resolve intertwining in their expressions. Would they witness the truth tonight? Or would they become yet another lost piece in this dangerous game? The night was far from over, but even through the overwhelming fear, a quiet intensity brewed within Mia. She had choices to make, ones that would change everything. What awaited them hidden beyond the veil of darkness? With a shared nod, they stepped forward into uncertainty. The storm had only just begun. Mia pressed her back against the dumpster, the cold metal biting into her skin. The rain poured in relentless sheets, mingling with her racing thoughts. She could barely breathe as fear clawed at her throat, an unyielding panic that threatened to swallow her whole. "Now!" the stranger hissed, pulling her from the safety of their hiding place. With adrenaline surging, Mia followed, her pulse reverberating in her ears. They moved soundlessly deeper into the alley, the shadows engulfing them like a thick fog. They ducked behind a stack of crates just as the tactical team began yelling commands into their radios. Voices echoed, but the rain swallowed most of the sound. Mia caught snippets, their determination palpable even from behind the cracked wood. Each shout triggered fresh bursts of dread in her chest. "Get the perimeter secured. Back up the north exit." A commanding voice boomed. "Where is he?" Another voice snapped, urgency lacing every syllable. Mia glanced at her companion, whose eyes were wide, reflecting the tension of the moment. "This isn't just about Christopher," she whispered, grasping at fleeting glimmers of understanding. There's something bigger at play here. The stranger nodded gravely, their attention fixated on the unfolding scene. Yes, but first we need proof. Whatever they uncover tonight could expose everything that's what we're banking on. We have to stay invisible. From her vantage point, Mia could see the tactical team split into two groups. One moved towards the building's entrance, while the others swept the area with caution. Order of the day is containment, one officer barked, his lit flashlight cutting through the twilight and glancing off the slick pavement. We won't let him escape this time. Mia swallowed hard. They were not just looking for answers. They intended to corner Christopher like a feral animal. As the reality of the situation collided with her mind, she considered the weight of what they might find. The truth, if it existed, could turn everything upside down. Let us get closer, the stranger urged, glancing towards the noise ahead. We need to record this. With hesitant determination, they crawled through the shadows, hearts pounding in unison. The rain became a deceptive companion, muffling their movements as they crept toward the building's entrance where the tactical team was assembled, fully equipped for a confrontation. Just as they edged closer, Mia froze, her breath catching in her throat. A flash of light illuminated the area, and she recognized a silhouette emerging from the building, tall, authoritative. Christopher, the very person they were after. Mia, stay low, the stranger whispered urgently, tucking them both behind a dumpster once again. The sudden crack of thunder resonated as Christopher faced the tactical officers, hands raised in a gesture that oscillated between bravado and surrender. You think you can intimidate me? His voice, smooth yet mocking, cut through the air. You're too late. Mia felt a chill crawl down her spine. There was an eerie calm about him, dangerous and confident. She could see the glint of a weapon strapped to his thigh, words hanging unspoken in the tense air. They had stumbled upon more than they bargained for. Everything you think you know is a lie, Christopher shouted across the distance, and Mia's heart raced as she tried to grasp the implications. His voice echoed ominously. Was he trying to provoke them, or reveal some conjured truth? Mia, the stranger whispered, noticing her expression. This is it. We can record what happens next. This is our chance. As they fought to anchor themselves in the moment, a flash of chaos erupted. A door slammed open, and gunfire shattered the air, a deafening roar that sent Mia's heart racing like a caged animal. What's happening? She gasped, horror spilling into every ounce of her being. The last thing she saw was Christopher diving back into the building, moving like a shadow in the storm, leaving questions swirling in the air like the rain. Mia, we move now, the stranger urged, grabbing her hand tightly. But as they dashed to safety, the impact of that night gripped Mia. The truth remained tantalizingly out of reach, buried under layers of danger. What lurked just out of sight? What deeper conspiracies awaited? As thunder rumbled above, she couldn't shake the feeling that they had only scratched the surface. Would confronting this darkness bring about the change she craved, or would it consume her entirely? With each step they took, the storm loomed larger, one question echoing in her mind. Was this the beginning of a fight for the truth, or the start of a descent into an unforgiving abyss? Mia stumbled through the rain, the weight of fear still anchoring her limbs. The stranger pulled her into a narrow side street, their eyes darting around like wild animals. Every shadow felt threatening, every sound magnified by the chaos of the night. Did you see that? Her companion whispered. He was so calm, too calm. Mia's thoughts raced. What did he mean by everything you think you know is a lie? The words haunted her, replaying over and over. She hadn't signed up for this. She just wanted answers, but what she had stumbled into was something much darker. The stranger seemed to sense her distress. We have to keep moving. If they're after Christopher, they won't stop until they find him. And if he's right about that truth, there's no telling how deep this goes. Mia nodded, urgency mingling with fear. They pressed farther into the maze of alleyways. Every corner they turned was a disorienting choice that left her more unsettled. The rain painted everything in shades of gray, making their surroundings feel even more uncertain. Suddenly, a shout echoed from behind. Search the area. We need to find them. Her heart pounded in sync with the heavy footsteps growing louder, creeping closer. She and the stranger ducked behind a dumpster, their breaths shallow, filled with adrenaline and dread. Mia could feel the cold metal pressing against her, grounding her momentarily amid the chaos. Why are they so desperate? She whispered, trying to calm her beating heart. They're after something he has, the stranger replied, scanning the area. If we can find whatever it is before they do, we might just stand a chance. Mia clenched her fists. But where do we even start? Think, Mia. What's Christopher involved in? He wasn't just a name in the news. He was tied to bigger players. What do those players want? As the shouts of the tactical team faded into the distance, a flicker of memory ignited in Mia's mind. It wasn't just the money or power. Christopher was entangled in a network that manipulated and controlled beyond just local dealings. There were whispers of corruption, paper trails that led to elites, shadowy connections hidden from plain sight. Is it possible he has evidence? Mia gasped, piecing things together in seconds. Exactly. We need to find it, and fast, the stranger insisted. Follow me. They dashed down another alley, more confident now. Each footstep echoed their desperation. A race against not just time but against the storm brewing around them. The wind howled, and as they rounded a corner, they stumbled upon a solitary figure standing beneath a flickering streetlight. It was a woman. She was drenched, her eyes darting nervously. Are you Mia? The woman gasped, urgency lacing her voice. You have to listen to me. You're in danger. Mia felt a cold shiver run down her spine. She'd never seen this woman before, but the fear in her expression was palpable. The stranger tensed beside her, muscles coiled, ready for anything. What do you know? The stranger demanded, stepping closer. The woman hesitated, glancing back as if expecting someone to emerge from the shadows. Christopher, he's not who you think he is. They're coming for you both. Mia's heart raced as realization dawned. They couldn't just find the truth. They needed to unearth a conspiracy that stretched beyond their understanding. Before she could respond, the woman continued, If you want to survive this, you need to trust me. We have to go now. Mia exchanged a tense glance with the stranger. Trust was a luxury they could barely afford. But the stakes were high, and the storm around them was only just beginning to break. Okay, Mia said, stepping toward the woman. Lead the way. Behind them, in the distance, gunshots rang out again. Every second pulsed with urgency. Was this the beginning of unraveling the truth, or merely the opening act in a much darker series of events? The answer loomed before them, hidden in the shadows, waiting to be unearthed. The woman's urgency pulsed through the air, wrapping around Mia like a chain. Come on. This way. She turned sharply, her soaked hair sticking to her face as she sprinted down the street, glancing back to make sure they were following. Mia felt the chill of fear deepen in her bones, but she had no choice. They had to trust her. She and the stranger exchanged a quick nod before they bolted after the woman, their footsteps splashing through puddles that glistened with shattered streetlight reflections. Who are you? Mia shouted over the booming thunder. There's no time to explain. The woman shouted, twisting down another dimly lit alley. Just keep up. Mia's heart raced as they navigated the twisted streets. The fear of being caught became palpable, swirling with adrenaline in the air thick enough to taste. The woman glanced back again, her expression a mix of fear and desperation. Remember, you have to trust me. Trust. The word echoed ominously in Mia's mind as they darted around a corner. What did it mean to trust someone with everything at stake? She barely knew this woman, yet she was leading them deeper into the unknown. They arrived at a small door hidden behind a trash pile. The woman pushed it open with a forceful shove, her breath coming in quick bursts. In. Quickly. Mia hesitated for just a moment, then stepped inside, followed by the stranger. The door slammed shut behind them, muffling the distant sounds of the chaos outside. Inside the dimly lit room, the air was heavy and stale. Papers littered a long table, alongside old photographs and a laptop flickering under a low-watt bulb. Rows of files lined the walls, organized chaos, the same kind of chaos Mia had sensed in Christopher's dealings. What is this place? She breathed, stepping closer as if the room could offer her answers. This is my safe house, the woman rushed, scrambling through the papers. I was tracking Christopher. He was onto something big. This evidence, it's our only chance. The stranger leaned closer. You're talking about evidence against powerful people, right? Against these bigger players we mentioned? The woman nodded, her face fierce. I have a file here that ties several politicians to money laundering and other crimes. They're ruthless, and Christopher he's been exposing them. That's why they're after him. Mia's heart pounded louder as the pieces began to fit together. They wouldn't just stop at him, would they? She felt a knot twist in her stomach. They'll hunt anyone connected to the truth. Especially you, the woman said, her eyes locking on Mia's. Right now, you're the hunted. They think you know more than you do. Mia shook her head in disbelief. I don't know anything. I was just looking for answers. The woman's brows furrowed. And that's exactly what got you into this mess. If they find out you have this, they won't just come for Christopher. You'll be in their crosshairs too. Suddenly, noise erupted from outside. Heavy footsteps stomped closer, voices shouting orders. The tactical team was back, this time with urgency that made Mia's blood turn cold. Panic surged as her mind raced. They had to do something. They couldn't let this moment slip away. Where's the evidence? The stranger asked, quickly scanning the room. It's here. We have to get it and go. The woman said, riffling through the papers in a frenzy. If we leave without it, we're as good as dead. Mia knew it was now or never. The chaos outside was closing in, and they had to act fast. What's next? She asked, tension coiling in her chest. The woman pulled out a flash drive from the pile of papers and handed it to Mia. Take this. If anything happens to me, know. The stranger's voice cut through the panic. We leave together. We're in this together. Footsteps thundered at the door, muffled voices rising in layers of command. Mia's eyes widened, adrenaline surging. Do you hear them? They're coming. We need a plan. With hearts racing and time slipping away, they prepared for the fight of their lives, but what awaited them outside held secrets even darker than they could have imagined. Would they survive before the truth swallowed them whole? In that moment, the door burst open, and chaos erupted as figures poured inside. With every ounce of fear flooding her veins, Mia realized more than just their lives were at stake. If they couldn't escape now, the truth and everything she had come to know might vanish into the shadows forever. What would she discover about Christopher and herself when the dust settled? The door flew open, and a wave of men in dark gear surged inside, their faces masked and expressions unreadable. Mia's heart slammed against her chest, a frantic rhythm that echoed through her body like a war drum. Get back! The woman shouted, pushing Mia and the stranger behind her. The woman stood her ground, a fierce barricade amid the chaos that ensued. Mia's pulse raced as the intruders began scouring the room, shoving the scattered papers aside as if they were nothing more than confetti. In that fraught moment, she felt as if the air thinned, suffocating her as panic bubbled up from her core. They'll kill us if they find us, she whispered to the stranger, who pressed against the wall, eyes wide with terror. What do we do? The stranger didn't answer. Instead, he was scanning the room, desperate for an escape route. Over here. He suddenly hissed, motioning toward a wooden cabinet lodged against the wall. We can hide inside. No. The woman shot back, her voice firm but tinged with desperation. We don't have time. We have to fight. Mia's eyes darted between them. It wasn't the plan she had hoped for. Fight? We're outnumbered. Look, the men were working efficiently, their whispers commanding and intimidating. They rummaged through files and electronics, tossing aside everything they deemed useless. What the hell are they looking for? Mia wondered aloud, but the woman didn't have the luxury to ponder the question. In a split second, the tension exploded. One of the intruders found the flash drive. Grabbing it, he held it up like a trophy, a smug smile barely visible behind his mask. Look what we have here. They won't get far with this. No. The woman lunged forward, but Mia grabbed her arm, holding her back. There was nothing they could do against a force so cold and disciplined. "Run!" the stranger shouted, dragging Mia toward the cabinet as a sudden burst of shouting flooded the room, voices blending into a cacophony of chaos. They ducked low, slipping into the cabinet and pulling the doors closed just as one of the intruders stepped dangerously close. Mia's heart raced as she pressed against the wall of the cabinet, listening to their heavy breathing. There was barely enough room to think, and she could feel her thoughts spiraling. "What happens to us if they find us?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "Don't," the stranger began, but words failed him, the uncertainty hanging thick in the air. Footsteps shuffled outside the cabinet, coming to a stop. A low voice murmured, frustration evident within it. "We need to sweep this place if they're hiding. They'll slip right through our fingers." Another voice retorted, sharper than the first. "We'll search until we find them. They can't be far, let us check the back." Mia's breath hitched in her throat. They weren't just hunting for evidence. They were hunting for blood. "Remember," the woman whispered from the corner, "you have to follow my lead. I know how to bring them down. Just trust me." But trust, it felt paper-thin now, hanging on the edge of doubt as the world outside thickened with uncertainty. Suddenly, a thud reverberated against the wall, startling them within the confines of their cramped hiding spot. The intruders were looking for them, tearing the safe house apart piece by piece. Mia felt an overwhelming squeeze in her chest. What if they found out they were there? What if they never escaped? "Stay quiet," a voice commanded, snapping directly overhead. Then came a noise that made their hearts sink, a guttural laugh, rich with malice. "It's only a matter of time now. Can't believe they thought they could outrun this fire." Mia's thoughts flickered like a candle, fading with despair. They were running out of time and options. As the laughter echoed and footsteps resumed their frantic search, a thought ignited in Mia's mind. What if they were more than just pawns? If they could outsmart the hunters, maybe, just maybe, they could turn the tables. But how? What was the next move in their deadly game? The stakes rose higher still as the cabinet began to shake. Was it just the weight of fear? Or had they finally been discovered? The moment hung suspended, threatening to shatter. All they needed was one glimmer of hope to set them on a new path. But would it come before it was too late? The cabinet rattled violently, the shadows dancing around Mia like terrifying specters. She held her breath, every muscle in her body coiled tight with fear. The laughter of the intruders lingered in the air, low and cruel, piercing through the dread. Those voices promised trouble that surged towards them, rolling forward like a dark tide. "Stay quiet," the stranger whispered urgently. They could feel the heat of each other's panic radiating in the cramped space, but neither dared to move. The intruders were close. They could hear the scuffling of boots on the worn floorboards, could smell the sweat and danger in the air thick with tension. Suddenly, the cabinet doors were flung wide open. Mia's heart dropped as a pair of intense eyes locked onto hers. One of the intruders had found them. "Well, what do we have here?" he sneered, the grip of his weapon tightening. The sudden rush of adrenaline surged through her veins, a jolt of fight awakening within her. "Go!" Mia shouted as she exploded from the cramped hiding space, pushing the intruder back. The element of surprise sparked a sense of reckless determination in her soul. The stranger was right behind her, and they rushed past the stunned intruder, making a break for the exit. Chaos erupted as the rest of the team rounded on them, shouting commands and brandishing weapons. There was a moment's hesitation, understanding maybe, shock perhaps, but in that frozen instant, Mia felt an instinct guide her. She sprinted towards the doorway, breaking free from the clutches of fear. "Out now," the woman from the safe house urged, her voice cutting through the panic. Mia didn't look back. She kept moving, propelled by the heady rush of adrenaline. They darted down the alley, narrowly dodging gunfire that erupted behind them. The sound of bullets ricocheting off walls ignited a primal fear that fueled her escape. The rain-soaked streets glistened like a treacherous dance floor, and every slip felt like a countdown to their fate. They plunged deeper into the dark labyrinth of alleys, their footsteps echoing against the deserted buildings. each step pulling them further from the grasp of the shadows that threatened to engulf them. Mia could feel her heart pounding in her chest, driven by sheer terror and dogged determination. "This way," the stranger shouted, changing direction sharply, their instincts guiding them to a side street that had seemingly collapsed into obscurity. "Keep moving," the woman urged, glancing back as the echoes of pursuit faded into the distance, replaced by heavy breaths and the rhythm of rain striking the pavement. Mia felt momentarily reassured but knew they weren't out of danger yet. "What's happening?" she gasped, barely able to keep her eyes on the path. "Why were they after us?" "There's a storm brewing," the stranger replied, urgency punctuating every word, "and we've stumbled right into the heart of it. They want the evidence, the truth Christopher was hiding." The words hung over them like a dark cloud, filled with potential and danger, shifting her understanding of the entire night. They slowed, hearts still racing, as they entered a narrow alcove. The rain poured in sheets, but within the walls came some solace. "Now we wait," the woman said, her voice quieter, gazing into the dark. "Wait for what?" Mia implored, trying to piece together the threads of their unsettling night. "Wait for the opportunity," she said, eyes gleaming with determination. "But we need to be ready. Everyone out there wants to silence us. If they find us," her voice trailed off, thick with unspoken terror. Shivers ran down Mia's spine. She realized she was now in the middle of something that was unfolding far beyond her control. "You're right," she breathed, squaring her shoulders. "But we can't hide forever. We need to take action." As they clustered together, the urgency of the moment pressed heavily on them, sending adrenaline rushing through Mia's veins again. They had to do something, and soon. Mia's mind raced through ideas, and then a flicker of hope broke through the classical panic. "What if we leaked the evidence?" she suggested, glancing between the two. "We could send it out anonymously. Let the world see the truth." The woman's brows knitted together, considering. That could work. It might force their hands. But it would have to be done carefully. "Let us find a place with a signal," the stranger said, determination settling anew in his voice. "We can get the files out." They all nodded, the fire of urgency rekindled as they began to formulate a plan, their breaths steadying slightly as purpose filled the AI as they navigated back through the labyrinth of alleys. They made their way toward a timid coffee shop that had withstood the storm. It was old and flickering, much like the hope permeating their minds. Inside, they found a way to access the internet, a desperate lifeline to share the truth. Mia sat at the computer, her fingers trembling against the keys. "I'm doing this," she said to the quiet room, "for everyone." As she clicked send, unleashing the secrets buried so deeply, the weight of their possible victory hung in the air. But the tension was still palpable, reminding them that the night was far from over. The truth was out, and the storm that Christopher had brewed was likely to come crashing down. Moments later, the sound of distant sirens echoed, creeping closer and closer. They exchanged glances, and in the charged silence, vulnerability intertwined with determination. "Time to face the storm," Mia commented, resolve filling her voice. "We have a battle ahead of us." With hearts pounding and adrenaline flowing, they stepped back into the raging night, ready to confront the very monsters that had hunted them. The chaos might have chased them for now, but they were no longer terrified prey. They were a force fueled by the promise of truth. And as they emerged into the chaos outside, Mia knew one thing for certain: the secrets would no longer remain buried, and they would find a way to unravel them together, no matter the cost. They stepped forward into uncertainty, ready to reshape their fates. The time for hiding was over. Now was the time to rise. Now it's your turn. Don't let this moment slip away. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and support our work. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your engagement matters, and only true fans like you understand how important it is. Let us make our voices heard.